Hey guys, Jeff here, and today we're going to talk about framing out your van. So I've got another video on this, but I thought I'd do an update because this is the third van that I've done in the last month, and I kind of picked up on some things that will really, I think, help you along the way. So I'm going to give you some pro tips on framing. Now, if you're doing your walls out of 1/4 inch like birch ply and then just covering it material, then you really don't need to do any framing. The purpose of framing is if you're going to attach something like shiplap or tongue and groove or anything like that, which is the way that we do our vans, then framing becomes super important. What I like to use for the framing is either 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch Baltic birch plywood. It's really important on your frame to have something that is really stable, that's not going to split, warp, and Baltic birch is very stable. It uses exterior grade adhesives in between the plies, and it's also stiffer than regular plywood. It has fewer voids. It holds screws better than normal plywood. So even though it is expensive, like the 5/8 right now is about $120 a sheet where I am, and just to use that to just cut up into strips, it seems like it could be kind of a waste. But I think it's really well worth it because this is the foundation of your build, and so important to have a really strong foundation. So the way that we do it is we cut these pieces into strips, and then we use adhesive glue. We like to use the Loctite Marine adhesive. It's a fast drying adhesive, and when it cures, it still has some flexibility. And so with all the vibration in the van, it's going to eliminate squeaks and rattles. It's going to hold really well, and it's not susceptible to extreme temperatures. So whether it gets really cold or really hot, it's still going to be really strong. And so we really like that. It is more expensive. It is about $15 a tube as opposed to regular construction adhesive, which is $3 to $5 a tube. So there is a big price difference, but to frame out this whole van was 2 tubes. So $30 of insurance is well worth it to me. Then we use a combination of riv nuts and tech screws, which are self-drilling screws. And these are the tech screws. So these are self-drilling. You can get that. Self-drilling, use a hex head. And then the last one that I use is riv nuts, and I use 1/4 20. So 1/4 20. So 1/4 is the diameter, and then the 20 is 20 threads per inch. That's just a standard thread pattern for a 1/4 inch bolt. I use the 1/4 inch riv nut. So these are all stainless steel riv nut, stainless steel bolts, and I like the ones that have the flat head with the flange on them because I can countersink them. Because I'm going to be attaching shiplap to all this. I want all this to be flush, and so I want to countersink everything. So I countersink these, the ones that go into the riv nuts, with a standard countersink bit. And then these tech screws, because they have a flat, I just drill out with a larger drill bit a little place for these heads to go into so that they kind of sit flush. So that's how I do it. Now, what I like to do is, it's really important when you're framing to think where things are going to attach. And because if you're doing, for example, cabinets and shiplap, you're going to be needing to screw into these. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is you can use 1/2 inch ply, but I like the 5/8 because it's just a little bit thicker, gives me a little bit more to screw into. 1/2 inch plywood is actually about a 1/16 of an inch under a 1/2 inch, and 5/8 is about a 1/16 over a 1/2 inch. So it just gives you that little bit of extra meat to screw your screws into. So another thing that's really important with the framing is to kind of make sure you have pieces wherever you're going to want to attach things. So I know that I'm going to frame this window out. There's not going to be a window here, but it's going to kind of extend the sleeping area by a couple of inches on each side. So I'm going to do this, have my shiplap coming along, and then have a piece going all the way around to frame this out. So what I like to do is I like to line this piece up with the edge of this lip, and same thing down here, so that when I put a piece in, it can sit on here and right against that lip and be flat. And so that will frame in this window, okay? And I'll be able to wrap this, I'll have a piece back here, and this will, so basically my furring strips are framing my cutout, and then this can easily attach to the these pieces to create my box, okay? Another thing that I found is really important is that your horizontal strips, you run on the entire length down, and then your vertical strips you put in between them. So here and here. Because if you were to put these vertical strips and attach them, say up here and down here, and then have this piece, the horizontal strips, butt up into it, these pieces are going to be on a different plane than these pieces, because this is at a certain angle, and then if you put these pieces, it's going to be on another angle, and you're going to end up having these pieces not meet flush. So it's really important to run your horizontal pieces the entire length of the van. So what I like to do is there's a ridge right here in the sheet metal. I line up the top of this with the top of that ridge, and then I line the bottom up with this cutout on the window. And I think these ended up being, these were I think 4 inches wide, and so that works perfectly. And then I have a straight line to line everything up with. On the bottom, I line it up with the there's kind of a place where the metal kind of goes like this, and I line it up right with that so that I can line it up even the whole way, and then the top of it is even with the cutout of the window. So this is going to give me something straight to attach my bed frame supports to, and then I know it's straight and I have plenty of stuff to attach to. Same thing in the back. You want to think about, where is my shiplap going to end, and am I going to have something to attach it to? You don't want a piece here and the back of your van's here, and then you have nothing to attach the end to. So you want to have furring strips everywhere that you're going to need to attach your shiplap or anything else. Now on this side of the van, we're going to have upper cabinets. And so this is a real pro tip for how to fur it out where you're going to have cabinets. And that is, again, I line this up where I want the bottom of my cabinet to sit. So my back of my cabinets are actually going to sit on this lip right here. And again, I line this up right with the top, this kind of place where the two pieces of metal come together. There's a seam. So I line this piece up right with that seam, and that's going to give me a nice height of cabinets. I think they're about 11 or 12 inches. Don't remember the exact depth, but it's going to allow me to set my cabinets on there and have really good support, and then I can just screw it into the top, and it's going to have lots of support because it's supported this way, and then with screws into these furring strips on top. That's going to be for my upper cabinets. Now I don't put furring strips on these pieces where I'm going to have upper cabinets, because I want my upper cabinet to sit back as far as possible. And so I'm leaving these open so that my back of my cabinets can sit here, sit right against here, and then I like to attach them to the back with rib nuts, and then to the top with wood screws into the ceiling. So that's for my uppers. Another tip on your uppers is as you come to the back of the van actually curves in right up here at the top. And so I don't like to have my upper cabinets extend all the way to the back, because if I do, it's going to force my cabinets up at the top to be out over here. And so I end them right where this tab comes down. So I put a furring strip here so that I can attach, my cabinets will come right to the top of that and butt up against that and come down here, and then I'll be able to attach shiplap right here. So it just gives me a nice place to attach shiplap. So when you're doing upper cabinets, make sure that you have something behind, because you're going to need to fill this space in with whatever you're using for your walls, in my case shiplap. where my cabinets end. So that's what that's for. Now, depending what you're building in the front of your van, you're going to want to have things to attach your cabinets to, your bench seats. In this van, we're actually going to have a shower right here, floor to ceiling, and then a floor to ceiling cupboards that are going to have some drawers, refrigerator, and another upper drawer on top. So basically from where my bed ends all the way to the front is going to be a whole wall of shower and cabinets. So I need to make sure that I have furring strips to attach everything to. So right here, I go, okay, my shower is going to come out this far. This is where it's going to start. I want to have a place to attach the back part of my frame of my shower. So that's why this one comes out so far. So think through what you're going to be attaching and where you need places to attach. And so sometimes you're going to need to have a wider piece that you can attach it to. I'll figure out exactly where my shower, one wall of the shower will be here, so I'll have furring strips, you know, down here that I can attach one of my frames of my shower, and then the frame on this side, I'll do the same thing. I'll have furring strips where my other wall and everything's going to attach. So I always want to have things that I can screw into. Now the final thing is the ceiling. So the ceiling, what I like to do is I use a riv nut right in the center of all these, and there's a hole in this rib right here, right dead center. So I bore that out just big enough for my riv nuts, and then I use a screw that's long enough to reach that. And because this is actually curved right here, I actually attach the screw and then screw it in, and that pulls this piece up, and it actually bows a little bit and follows the contour of the ceiling. Now another way to frame out your ceiling is you can do it with a piece that's straight so that it makes your ceiling straight. The problem is that you lose some of your headroom. You probably lose about an inch if you bring it straight across. So I like to follow the contour of the ceiling, and with a shiplap or tongue and groove or slatted ceiling, you can just follow that contour and it works great. So I think it gives you a little extra headroom, and I think it looks good. So I use a riv nut in the center, and then I just use the self-tapping screws on the two ends to attach it. Now as far as the adhesive goes, I always put adhesive where I'm going to be attaching. I'll put adhesive, I put a little bit on each side, and then I put some on the ends, so that when I attach this, that adhesive also holds this up. And what I do when I put the adhesive, because nothing is flat and in the van, I put a dollop about the size of a quarter and maybe a ½ inch thick, deep, wherever I want this, so that when I tighten it down, it squishes that glue and it follows the contour of the van. So another thing that I like to do is wherever I need extra structure, I'll use riv nuts. So like in the ceiling, I want one really good strong one in the ceiling to hold them. And then I usually will use the tech screws. They're just a lot easier to put in. They're self-tapping, so I'll just drill those in wherever I need them. But there's some spots where I know I'm going to be running electrical wiring. Like there's a channel that goes right here and down to the bottom, and I use that channel to run a lot of my electrical. And if I put the tech screws and they're poking through here, I'm going to have sharp screws where my wires are going to go. So what I do anytime I know there's a channel where I'm going to be running electrical is I use a riv nut, because the riv nuts are smooth and the bolts are smooth. So you can see right there, this is what it's going to look like behind the wall. I've got a smooth riv nut and a pretty smooth bolt back there. So I'm not going to have a sharp screw. I'm not going to have something like that poking through the wall, rubbing it against my wire. I'm going to have something smooth. So anytime I'm going to be using a channel for electrical, I use riv nuts. And I don't put screws. You can see I didn't put any screws up right here because I don't want it rubbing against my electrical. I put screws way back here where I'm not going to be running electrical. So that's something really important. So hopefully this helps you. If you have questions about framing out your van or other things you'd like us to do videos on, then drop it in the comments section below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. We'll see you in the next one.